and that is architect Namal Jayamanne. I would give a brief introduction about architect Namal Jayamanne, and he, having completed his Bachelor of Science in Built Environment and MSc in Architecture from the University of Moratuwa, architect Namal Jayamanne obtained his charter in the year 1998. Architect Namal is a fellow member of SLIA and is teaching in the Faculty of Architecture at University of Moratuwa as a visiting lecturer. And architect Namal's academic contribution extends to City School of Architecture and SLIT as well. He has served as an examiner, juror, and a panelist in both academic and professional capacities as well. Having worked under renowned architect Vidyajyoti Asher DeVos and Italian architect Dr. Carlo, he has gained experience in projects varying from five-star hotels to personalized housing in both local and international context. Architect Nama formed his own practice in 2001 as Nama Jayamanne Associates and has done many successful projects ranging from large-scale commercial buildings, interiors, hospitality projects, corporate offices, to personalized housing. He will be talking about variety and architect's perspective. And architect Nama Jayamanne, over to you.
Hello. I'm a bit, I'm a bit reluctant to hide behind lecterns, so I'll just start my presentation like this. Well, one thing I just wanted to tell you all that is that the projects that I'm touching upon are like most of them are no more right now. So I deliberately wanted them to kind of come into light because if we do not present them, you will never be able to see them again, and what we learned will never be exposed. Well, it's basically my own perspective about doing a variety of projects, why we do it and what are the benefits out of it. Being an architect, the beauty of being an architect is that we meet people every day, different peoples, and we get to work in different projects, almost like everyday basis. And it gives you new challenges and fresh challenges every day. So it's basically make you kind of, it doesn't keep you young, but you kind of, tend to age gracefully with the projects that you do. It's almost like, when you are given similar projects, it's very boring. Like it's the same project over and over. But it's not like, having different projects every day. It's like at times similar projects will make you boring. It's the variety, the projects that we do. The variety is what adds spice on our to our life. The first project I wanted to present is, this was done and completed in 2002. So most of these photographs are not even digital photographs. This is French Corner Parade, Mount Lavinia. How it all started was, like there was a building abandoned for decades. Like the good, like the special connection between this particular project to me was that when I was a student, we got a project to identify a building, kind of rundown building or a building, a mismatched building. It was an urban design project, and then do a reasonable renovation and facelift to make it a part of the fabric. So after about 10 years, and I got the same building that I did as a presentation, as a study, to complete as a real life project. Well, this project, I had my partner architect Jayamanne Gunasekar working with me, because we were given only about 2 weeks time to complete the entire project. We had about less than 2 months. That was the building right in front of Mount Lavinia Cemetery. You must have seen this. I don't know, like, since this is about 20-year-old project, you wouldn't have seen the same building what you see right now. That was the state of it. And then we had to transform that to a contemporary activity. And this was the time where, like, we had restrictions, like even the material as well, like all this composite cladding we call as aluminum claddings were not available at that time. There were 2 projects completed. Again, if I'm not mistaken, those are ABN AMRO Bank project, and there was a Cargill's building done before this. But still in monocolor kind of, um, buildings. Now, what we did, according to the client's brief, they wanted a kind of, color combination to go with, French flag colors. So that's what you see in the bottom is what we come up with as against this rundown building. Well, this was our first sketch we did, and with this only we started discussing with our client, because this particular client had specific instructions saying that they are not into having graphics, the presentations like we see these days, and they were not planning to display any mannequins or anything like that. So we had limitations in developing the facade, developing the signage, developing whatever communicate what is inside with the outside. But still, that again gave us a challenge. Like as you can see, the light blue elements are the glass, right? So those are the only openings to communicate with the outside. Yeah. Well, this was not only architectural, but it was a very, very technical project, because it was a 8,000 square feet retail store, but they wanted kind of, a flexibility in the interior to, to go different products at different times of the year, and, change depending on the arrival of their goods. So what we did was that we had to develop, like, as you can see on the left hand side, we had to develop certain details which are flexible enough that we can, kind of, changeable to display the merchandise. And how we did was that we first developed veneer walls detailed with stainless steel slots, which can take shelves with pins attached, and that's a variation of it. As you can see here, these are all backlit slate cladded walls with steel plates and all that. This pocket is for shoes and other accessories. And then, like the previous architect explained, architect Shashikala explained, we had a concern about lighting as well here. We were kind of trying to maintain a lux level of about 1,000 minimum. And the only options that we had at that time were CFLs, halogens, and metal halides. But to keep the correct lighting, the color temperature, we had to stick to metal halides and halogens. Then again, after a while, about a month or so, we experienced a heavy electricity bill coming. So we had to settle for different light fittings. So at that time, there were PLCs. PLCs is a developed version of a CFL. So for this project, we used a lot of PLCs only. This is like all these photographs don't have any merchandise with the photograph itself, because at that time, like we didn't have the technology to like digital photography and all of that was not available. So we just took photographs as and when the project was happening, and then this is what we have right now. But all in all, this was a very, very successful project at that time. Okay, this was the 6th addition to a chain of retail outlets for a client. And this became a thumping success for them. And then it went on to a level that they becoming the biggest retail mall chain in Sri Lanka. Well, I'm just trying to explain the differences between that project and another project right now, because even Palpatha Eco Safari Lodge is also no more there. This we started doing in 2011, and this was a very, very simple project. Well, we were given a site next to Vilpattu range, and it was like, it didn't have any buildings around it. It was like, again, abandoned cultivation land attached to another very, very rough kind of, landscaping. And then the client, what they told me was that he needs to develop this project into a camping site. When you say a camping site, there's nothing to be developed there. It's just a camping site. You just find your place and find your pocket and just occupy the place. And as an architect, what is your role in developing a camping site? That's the site we got. The river what we see here is a branch of Malwatuoya, and on the left hand side is a kind of, the plantation that we can see. That it's basically the patches that we see there are abandoned chainas. You can't call them chainas even, like, very, very haphazardly developed paddy fields. But when you move into the site, we notice that there is something bigger than that. There is something on offer. It's like next to Malwatuoya, there was another stream coming down, connecting, like touching upon our site, but that particular stream comes into life only during rainy days. This is the type of trees we had. And what you see on top is the client's, need. That's what his intention was, to provide campers with proper sleeping facilities and like a good meal, like a locally available good meal, not a super luxury 5-star meal, but impress the campers and make them come back again, because most of these campers, they visit places like Vilpattu and Yala almost like every year. And as an architect, my first response was that we should not build anything here. But I mean, you are given a project, you have to build something, right? And well, I thought my role there is to curtail the construction happening like to minimum without building anything like, forcefully. So it was like unlearning things, like what we learned in our career and academic life. This is a project about architecture without architects. My involvement was minimal. My involvement was only to stop, putting up structures there. That was originally the plan. Like there was a stream along, it's a big land, it was about 20 or 30 acre land, and the area selected was void of vegetation. And as you can see, most of these units were located in the areas where you don't have that much of vegetation, but and they were kind of grouped together to create a center court. So this particular center court was the public area for the occupants. That's the center court with one unit, and the thick vegetation beyond is where the stream is. Well, as far as the construction is concerned, we insisted that the material within your reach, like not even 1 kilometer distance, we were planning to use whatever within the reach to construct the elements, but that again, not with skilled laborers. Only those who were doing farming here and doing labor work there were asked to put up all these little huts. So most of these were done with construction errors, but we were ready to accept it because ultimately we were planning to let them perish into the jungle. This is one example of how we developed it. We did not give them any drawing, but we gave them sketches. As now the sketch on this side is the elevation of this particular small building, and that's about how to capture a small area of rock formation in a corner under a tree, and this was developed into a washroom facility. It was a common washroom facility. And after a while, like about a year or so, the place started getting settled with overhanging tree canopies covering the construction. The connection between the units were mostly happening on street paths, small footpaths. But there was a small area in this land where it was prone for flooding. Next to Malwatuaya, it was kind of a small area, ditched area. The small area that you see here is Malwatuaya branch, and this area on the picture was a lowland area. So over that we had to put up small bridges. And some units had washrooms attached to it. Now this is what you see on right hand side is a unit that had a washroom attached to it. And when it comes to detailing, we were not that particular about making details being prominent, but still most of these details that you see here, like, other than the small sketch that we see here, like these were only to give standards. Like when they were putting up a bench, we had to give them standards of sitting, the levels and all that. Other than that, most of these elements that you see on your right hand side, the cloth hanger, the shower, and the shower which is coming down from from up and all that, were kind of developed with the people who were constructing this. And this particular project won the certificate for carbon neutral hotel, and as a certified biodiversity conscious hotel before it was sold to a different party. Right. Getting back to another retail experience, this is more than designing an interior. Again, for the same client that I did a presentation on the previous project. This is the brand Glitz. Glitz, of course, was started as a brand with a little bit of research. Now, this particular client was having good research doing all the time. Now, he was kind of, coming up with an idea, why not we have a different kind of, series of retail malls for clients who are emerging into like brand conscious clients, like not the super brands like, Giorgio Armani, Dolce Gabbana and all that. But when you see a brand name, people who are conscious of like, conforming with standards, maintained and all that, for that kind of clientele, for that kind of market segment, they were planning to start a new range of shops. So this is one of their showrooms given to me in Kandy City Center. Kandy City Center was like again one of my very close project, because in 1994 the first sketches before it was converted into Kandy City Center, it was the workers site, and we started developing the initial sketches with our consultant architects there, and then project started happening after that only. In fact, I couldn't get involved in that in Kandy City Center project, but later on, this particular the outlet was given to me to develop. This is a 5,400 square feet area. This is not, you can't call it okay for a complete shopping experience. This is just under the correct size. At least you may need about 15,000 to 12,000 to call it a complete place. But then again, there are advantages also, because installing a shop in a mall means that you are kind of investing a lot. So with little spaces given, we are given the chance of basically into kind of a precision engineering in merchandising, right? You have to always be conscious about what you display and the amount of products that you display and how you display. That has to be done in consultation with the experts. Now, one challenge we had was that the location given was in a far corner and there was no exposure whatsoever to the general public. So we had to just speak out loud with the signage and all that. This could be considered as the only area exposed to the lobby. For that reason only, we had to just do all our signage very loud, as you can see. And about the graphic, we used little bit of graphics to give a flavor of, going to Kandy, of course, was celebrated with traditional Sri Lankan art, murals and all that kind of, graphics, as you can see on the right-hand side. But that again was not a solid one, it was a semi-transparent one, so that little bit of, exposure is given about what is happening inside. We were not planning to display anything through the glass, but the movements behind the glass is also kind of, giving you kind of a hint of what is happening around. And the panel you see here, the rest of the glass were detailed into, advertising panels. Well, architecture happens for a reason. Now, these details are not just cosmetic details. We had a really big issue about the landlord. He was pretty adamant of changing the AC positions and all that. AC positions, the services, the glass and all that was never can be, mingled around, shifted around. So we had to sit with that. So what we see as a ceiling and the lighting here is a solution that we went for to create a perforated ceiling which can accommodate central air conditioning above it. And the lighting pattern here again gave us a little bit of chance of doing a different kind of lighting. This is one of those. This is before the LEDs came into scene. Right? These are all LED lights though. This was developed by EcoSolve, specially developed strips that is to maintain the lighting level required. Well, as you can see, when you are doing a small project, we have limited options. Now, the option limitation can be seen with this panel because this has been arranged by expert merchandisers. So, with little space given, 8 by 8 space given on the wall has been arranged by visual merchandisers, and for them, it's the architect's duty to give them the sufficient ambience, the light, the connections behind, connections says the flexibility of handling the fixtures, apparatus and all that. So it was our responsibility to give all that, and then the experts come in to do all this. So what you finally see as a successful piece of interior, showroom or whatever, there's a story. There's a story lying behind. Right. And this is a totally different kind of experience again. I have deliberately selected these 4 projects. This project, of course, is still there. All 3 projects that I showed you are not there in the original form anymore. This was, I call it a pandemic project because we started doing this. Project as a resort hotel. We were given a huge land, about 30 acres, which was going to be connected, extended to another 20 acres, roughly about another, like the complete formation was supposed to be about 50 acres. In that area, we were planning to put up a, we were not that sure what kind of resort it is, because it was a coconut escape or coconut estate, all right, but he had other plans of developing certain areas into other cultivation patterns as well. So we selected one small area, and then once the decisions are taken, came this pandemic. So we were kind of stuck with the project. So then we decided to do a pilot project within that. One unit to be developed, study and see how feasible this project is going to be and all that. So originally, the discussions were that we were planning to have, we were planning to have common areas developed in different parts of the land. Connected to that, few more units. So these units were to be designed different to each other in the sense not in the form of architecture, but with the facilities. Like some were single-story units, some were 2-story units, some were for families and all that. So finally, when you amalgamate everything together, it was supposed to be somewhat similar to a village kind of setting. So the module we selected is one small one, the third unit that you see there. A simple structure, simple A-frame structure. This particular unit had 2 levels. So we are planning to accommodate about one single family of about 4 to 5 people. And since Now we were facing the pandemic and we were facing the issues of, spending for a project that we do not know whether we can complete and all that. We finally decided to stick to salvage material and as much as possible to do it cost effectively. That's how we started it. The first step was to have the best orientation. This particular direction was decided based upon the views that we have. And this was the structure, and this is the final completed version. Not the landscaping. Landscaping is yet to fill in this area. Well, this was completed with a small plunge pool and all that. And as you can see, all the salvage material only we have used for building finishes. But the interior is very simple. This is the upper level, and this is the lower level that you see, and the connection in between. 2 washrooms, simple. So that was the project that we handled during the pandemic, and it was like, it rewarded us with good results. So that's why, like when there is a different situation is given, when you are given a different challenge, of course you have to take it as a not as a challenge but as an opportunity. That's it. Thank you.